The obesity, the obesity paradox. When thinner means sicker and heavier means healthier. Part 1, a paradox for the ages. Chapter 4, a big deal. You can be fat, fit, and remarkably healthy. The sitting disease. If you've paid any attention this past year or so to the medical coverage of health topics, then at some point you may have heard that sitting is the new smoking. You may have even read articles suggesting that no matter how fit you are, if you sit for most of the day, you are doomed to experience poor health and meet an early death. Just as smoking is bad for you even if you get lots of exercise, so is sitting too much. Today's world is it is far too easy to stay in a seated position and get a lot accomplished. It's not sitting itself is the bad guy, it's the biological effects that prolonged sitting triggers in the body, negatively influencing things like triglycerides, high density lipoprotein, blood sugar, resting blood pressure, and appetite hormone leptin. Women in particular seem to be more vulnerable to prolonged sitting's adverse effects. In this study performed by the American Cancer Society, women who sat for more than 6 hours a day were 37% more likely to die during a time period as those who sat fewer than 3 hours a day. What all this research is clearly showing is that the body shuts down at a metabolic level when stationary. When you are immobile, your circulation slows down and your body uses less of your blood sugar. This effect, coupled with burning less fat, increases your risk for heart disease and diabetes. So just how sedentary are we? In a 2012 study published by Mark Hamilton at the Pennington Biomedical Research Center, it was reported that whether or not people exercise the recommended 150 minutes, about 2.5 hours a week, people spend an average of 64 hours a week sitting, 28 hours standing, and 11 hours engaged in non-walking exercise. That translates to more than 9 hours a day of sitting, no matter how active they are otherwise. We know that moving routinely throughout the day, even if it's just walking around while talking on the phone, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, or simply making a point to get up every hour for a 5-minute stroll or jog in place, will have a positive biological effect to counteract the poison of excessive sitting. The American Institute for Cancer Research now links extended sitting periods with increased risk of both breast and colon cancers. A 2013 survey of nearly 30,000 women in the United States found that those who sat 9 or more hours a day were more likely to be depressed than those who sat fewer than 6 hours a day. Again, biologically reasoning makes sense. When you're sitting down, your circulation is reduced, and so is the flow of feel-good hormones to your brain. The science of exercise. We've known that exercise is good for us for centuries, even if the exact reasons and underlying explanations were unclear. But only in the past decade have we really been able to qualify and quantify the extraordinary relationship between physical fitness and total health through laboratory and clinical tests. Since the dawn of humankind, we have been active creatures in the continual pursuit of survival. Only in relatively recent times we have gravitated towards sitting all day. Modern technology has afforded us this privilege because virtually anything we need is available without having to exert much effort, much less get off our butts. Our DNA, however, didn't evolve over the past millions of years to thrive in such an environment. We are designed to be active creatures so that we can live long enough to procreate and parent children. So this is a graphic I found of the rewards of exercise. So we have exercising, improved health, stronger muscles, better flexibility, better appetite, improved quality of life, better social life, feeling more relaxed, improved appearance, and increased energy levels. So So this is another one. This is health benefits of physical activities for adults. So the immediate is sleep. On this side is sleep, improves sleep quality, less anxiety, and reduces blood pressure. Long term, brain health, reduces risk of developing dementia and reduced risk of depression. Heart health, lowers risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Cancer prevention, lowers risk of 8 cancers: bladder, breast, colon, endometrium, esophagus, kidney, lung, and stomach. Healthy weight, reduces the risk of weight gain. Bone strength, improves bone health. And balance and coordination, reduces the risk of falls. And then this is another one that's showing you that regular physical activity helps lower your cancer risk for breast, kidney, colon, bladder, esophagus, lung, stomach, and endometrium. So then we are on to health benefits of physical activity for children. So academic performance, it improves attention and memory, muscle fitness, builds strong muscles and endurance. Cardiometabolic health, helps maintain normal blood sugar levels. Bone strength, it can help strengthen your bones. Brain health, reduces risk of depression. Heart and lung health, improves blood pressure and aerobic fitness. Long-term health, reduces risk of several chronic diseases, including type 2 diabetes and obesity. Healthy weight, helps regulate body weight and reduce body fat. The relationship between brain health and metabolic health is much closer than you think. New science is pointing to the idea that brain disease, including Alzheimer's, is a third type of diabetes. It turns out that insulin resistance likely contributes to the formation of those infamous plaques, whatever, that are present in diseased brains. These are the buildup of abnormal protein that essentially hijack the brain and takes its place of normal brain cells. It's all the more telling that those with diabetes are at least twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's disease, which is estimated to affect 100 million people by 2050, a crippling number for our healthcare system, and that will dwarf our obesity epidemic. The importance of your mitochondria cannot be overstated. Their age and efficiency have a direct correlation with your metabolic health. And as noted earlier, cutting-edge science is allowing us to begin to see that the difference between obese people who suffer from metabolic problems and obese people who don't could be based on how their mitochondria are functioning. Your mitochondria are key to your physiology and are often direct targets for cellular damage. While what you eat and what you expose yourself to in your environment can affect the extent to which your mitochondria function and how much damage they endure. Now you can see the amount of exercise you get does as well. Moderate intensity aerobic exercise for just 15 to 20 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week, has been shown to increase the number of mitochondria in your muscle cells by 40 to 50%. The previous research shows how exercise can change the way genes operate. It has highlighted the process behind the discovery that exercise promotes health and reduces most people's risk of developing many diseases despite weight. Clearly, multiple effects happen simultaneously when the body is engaged in physical activity, chemically, metabolically, physically, molecularly, and genetically. And many of these interactions are intertwined. From a medical standpoint, we know that exercises increase our lung capacity so we can take in more oxygen, as well as boost circulation to deliver nutrients and cells. These two reactions alone have numerous and far-reaching effects that at some point, deep down at the cellular level, can change the codes to our DNA expressions. Some individuals may try to manage their weight and health through diet alone, shunning fitness, and they experience metabolic consequences similar to if they were morbidly obese. the magic of fitness and muscle mass. So with the big picture understanding, let's look at two different scenarios that help further define true fitness. When thinner means sicker, the perils of being skinny and unfit, and the lean paradox, a phenomenal characterized by people who appear slim and trim, yet suffer from metabolic problems like type 2 diabetes. 2. When thicker means hardier, the counterintuitive blessing of higher body fat and high muscle mass. While it is reasonable to see how a rail-thin person with little muscle mass could be unhealthy, the benefits of muscle mass and fat combined are not so obvious. Two facts can help us out here. For one, as body fat increases, muscle mass and strength also tend to increase, generating more health and enhancing benefits. In 2011, the Mayo Clinic Proceedings published a study of mind involving 581 patients after they had a major cardiovascular event. The people who had higher body fat and higher muscle mass only experienced a 2% 3-year mortality. But the group with both low muscle mass and low body fat had a 15% 3-year mortality rate. That's 7 times the mortality of the group with high body fat and high muscle mass. An overweight or obese person may not have developed the heart disease in the first place had weight gain been prevented during his adult life. Whereas the person who develops the same heart disease despite maintaining a lean profile and despite on paper appearing less sick than the heavier person may be doomed by his particular genetic profile. We know by now that if you're going to prioritize fitness or weight as you age, it's better to strive for fitness and be on the thicker side than to be thin and unfit. Loss of fitness is a much stronger predictor of mortality than weight gain. Neglecting to exercise and controlling weight through dietary choices alone can be downright damaging. If you want to lower your blood sugar, breaking a sweat will beat any popular diet. When exercising too often, people focus on cardio fitness, forgetting that greater muscle mass seems to counteract the poor cardiovascular profile of people who are overweight or obese. People also fail to appreciate just how valuable muscle mass is to quality of life, longevity, and the ability to optimize metabolic health. Unlike fat, muscles is a high active tissue that requires the body to pump a lot of energy into it so that it stays in good working order. We have plenty of studies to refer to muscle's positive influence on a healthy metabolism. Fitness gurus will tell you that strength training becomes more vital the older one gets. And they are right, for it supports muscle mass like no other form of exercise and can help increase not only strength but also bone mass. The muscles you engage when you lift a weight put pressure on your bones, forcing them to get stronger. In most people, muscle strength peaks in our 20s and then gradually decreases. Every year, after the age of 25, the average American gains about 1 pound of body weight, yet loses 1/3 to 1/2 pound of muscle. Without strength training, most people experience a 30% loss in overall muscle by age 70. So this is some of the benefits of strength training. So it reduces depression, eases symptoms of Parkinson's disease, prevents obesity, assists with diabetes, manages chronic lower back pain, improves muscle strength after a stroke, may maintain muscle mass and overall weight after chemotherapy and radiation treatments. The fat-fit paradox shapes the obesity paradox. As the studies about the benefits of fitness despite the presence of fatness were coming into view, so too were hints that obesity as an absolute evil condition begged to be reconsidered. As a prelude to our detailed discussion of the obesity paradox, let me showcase a relatively recent study that's tested conventional health wisdom for its surprising, inaccessible evidence that obesity isn't always bad. In 2012, a report from the Swedish Coronary Angiography and Angioplasticity Registry made international headlines with data from more than 64,000 patients that featured a most counterintuitive and unlikely relationship. Once people have developed heart disease, they have a reduced risk of dying if they are overweight or obese, while underweight and normal weight patients have an increased risk. The researchers evaluated patients who had developed heart problems such as unstable angina and heart attacks, and at those who underwent coronary angiography between 2005 and 2008. Patients who were underweight had the highest risk of death. They had 3 times the risk of death. The lowest mortality rate was amongst those who were considered overweight with a BMI of 26.5 to 35. So here I have another chart for the BMI. While many of us struggle daily with constant thoughts about losing weight, especially if we've been diagnosed with weight-related conditions, such as heart disease, these researchers dare to suggest that there's no evidence to prove that weight loss helps someone who had a heart condition. They were even bold enough to say that there's evidence to show that weight loss after a diagnosis of heart condition might in fact have a negative effect, particularly for those who have a BMI of 40 or less than 40. If you have to choose between being fit or fat, go for fit, even if it means being heavier.